We will start the meeting. Today I am taking presentation from my phone due to lockdown. The last presentation I used to take from my office. So if you see that for the third running month, Nifty has underperformed the overall market. The last previous 2 months, Nifty has given negative return, whereas in the last 1 month, if you see between second Saturday meeting, last month and this month, Nifty is almost unchanged. So there is no action happening on the index level. Whereas if you see mid and small cap, plenty of action is there. Similarly, sectorial wise, if you see, lot of action is happening, particularly in commodity space, specialty chemical space. Lot of movement is happening without any correction. Domestically, if you see me, COVID second wave has hit the country. It has shaken everyone's confidence, mainly because of number of death it is getting reported, as well as due to the sharp surge in the cases. In the last 1 month, if you see, the case has single day case has gone up from 1 to almost 4 lakhs per day, highest ever cases has been happening due to COVID second wave. Some confidence has been shaken for domestic investors. Foreign investors, if you see, they have turned sellers. Till March, they have made a huge buying. From April onwards, they have turned cautious because of our local domestic issues. Whereas globally, if you see, US market has been doing exceedingly well. Even the results they are coming are far, far better than what we are seeing here. And on daily basis, US market has been hitting all-time high. Even sectorally, if you see in US market, tech stocks are doing well. Their economically related stocks, that also doing well. Dow Jones is also doing well, mainly on the hope that new US president focus on the will focus on the development of their US economy. So both Dow Jones and Nasdaq are doing very well, and they are hitting all-time high on a daily basis. And domestically, if you see, Miss Nifty and Sensex for the last 1 month, there is no major changes, almost flat closing. So this is the third month where Nifty and Sensex has underperformed the mid and small cap space. And mid cap last 1 month there is no change. Whereas in small cap, if you see, marginal improvement is there between last month and this month, almost a 3% gain is there. And coming to COVID, which has shaken everyone, and if you see that the number of cases has gone up very sharply. During the first wave, it was the highest peak cases registered per day was 1 lakh. Whereas if you see now, almost 4 lakhs cases per day has been reporting consistently. And what has worried many of them is the sharp spike. No one expected this type of spike to happen in a short period of time. So that has shaken everyone's confidence. Even government also has been under tremendous pressure. Healthcare people are under tremendous pressure because they could not able to handle so many cases. And because of COVID second wave, now many state governments, due to huge surge in cases, they have started putting lockdowns. So the number of cases initially, it felt that India won't get the second wave unlike the European countries and US. So that was the opinion everyone had it. But suddenly the cases started surging from mid-March onwards. It initially started with Maharashtra, then Delhi, then Bangalore. Like that, one by one, it started spreading. Now, if you see, means Karnataka also is having huge number of cases. Now, Tamil Nadu, number of day cases has been going up very sharply. Kerala, if you see the on percentage wise, if you see, Kerala has the highest number of cases in India if you compare with the number of population, because for 3.5 lakh crore people in Kerala, almost 40,000 cases are coming on a daily basis, which is almost 10% of India's number of cases, whereas the Kerala population do not constitute 10% of population. It is only 3% of population only Kerala has. So individual state wise, there are a lot of panic there, and healthcare system also could not be able to handle this much number of cases. And only consolation is that for the last 4 5 days, if you see, means the cases are ranging around 4 lakh, which means that there is some kind of peak is coming around 4 lakh cases. If you take US as an example, their first wave and second wave, the number of cases has been around 4 to 5 times their first wave and second wave cases. So if you consider that means first wave we had around 1 lakh cases. So now almost we also got to 4 times the number of cases we have seen in the first wave. So we are near to peak. Maximum it can go to 5 lakh, and from there it may started coming down. So we are near to peak in May, because of lockdown imposed in many states. I expect in the month of May the second wave peak we are going to see. From there it may start coming down sharply. So overall, country has been unprepared for the second wave because the number of cases has been falling steadily from November onwards. So all government were very lenient, and moreover elections were scheduled. So most of the politicians were busy in elections. So overall, country has been unprepared for the second wave, and the number of cases has been very high. See, the pace of increase in new cases has been very high, and the worrying factor is that the death has risen proportionately to number of cases, uh, as per government record. But actually there are a lot of talks that the death reported is far lesser and than actual one. And it seems like that only because if you see the newspaper in North India and all, the more than half of the pages are coming for arbitrary advertisement. And if you see, as per the official record, if you see, means the first wave, the number of uh, deaths happened were around 1,000, which is 1% of 1 lakh peak cases. Now they are reporting around 4,000 deaths per day, which that is also 1% of the peak cases. So government has been consistently maintaining is a 1% record of showing deaths. But in actually, if you see, means what we are hearing from media and other social networks is that the number of cases, the number of deaths has been much higher than what has been predicted. And if you see the reports, we are seeing the number of cremation happening and all much higher than government has been reporting. So the number of death that has made people panic, and many of them are really worried now when compared to what we have seen in the second wave. So it will take some time to get normalcy because many of them have lost their relatives and friends like that due to the COVID. And the worrying factor is that the people dying with a lower age. In first wave, mostly what we have seen is that people with older age only lost life, whereas now we are seeing that sudden death has been happening for the people who are around 40 years old, 45 years old, 35 years old. That is the news we are reportedly consistently getting in the social network and media. So that is the big worrying factor. Moreover, the lack of supply of oxygen and other hospitals could not able to handle the number of cases. That also making people very worried and alarming. And if you see the global COVID cases, if you see, means that it went to around 8 lakhs per day peak, then it fell. Now again, it has reached to near to 8 lakhs per day. So almost 50% of the global cases are coming from India only. Globally, if you see, it is around 8 lakh cases. So India alone reports 4 lakh cases. So India, Brazil, and US constitute most of the cases among global COVID cases. If Indian cases started falling, means then global cases also will start coming down because of the surge in cases and because of individual lockdowns we are seeing in many places. Almost all states have now lockdown. Tamil Nadu has put into 2 weeks of lockdown from tomorrow onwards. Kerala for the till 16th we are going to see full lockdown. Karnataka also they have imposed a complete lockdown for the next 2 weeks. So almost all entire south states are there. Andhra still they haven't put major lockdown. We have to see what they are doing. Maharashtra lockdown is there. Rajasthan there is lockdown. Odisha there is lockdown. In Delhi there is lockdown. So most of the parts of India is under lockdown. Down. So because of that, economic growth recovery, which was expected to come back very strongly, has hit a break. So that is a big negative as far as Indian economy is concerned. And consumption is going to be very selective. Auto sales, which was very good till last month, that also has come down. And consumption is going to be the must consume item is people are going to take. The other discretionary consumption item is likely to get hit a lot. For a second year running the school related expenses, that is not going to happen. Every year around April, May month, the school related consumptions like shoes, school bags and stationery items, notebooks used to happen. But this time for the second year, it is not going to happen. So that is one of the major hit area. Then tourism and tourism related sectors, hotels and all, April, May is the peak month because most of the people go for vacation during this period. So that also has hit a lot. Second year in a row, that has hit a lot. So consumption is going to be very selective, and a major section of an service related economy is going to get affected because of the second wave. And only positive is that global economy is stable. So unlike during the first wave, entire world was falling. So entire commodity price has been coming down. But now it is not like that. Many parts of the world has come into normal. UK and all has come into normal. In fact, they are going to open for travel UK. So many parts of the world has come into normal. That is one psychological support. Export will do well, whereas domestically the consumption is going to be very selective, and it is not going to be a complete discretionary consumption is going to hit a lot. And now what people are telling is that unlike first wave, the second wave, because of second wave, it will take some time to come back because people are already are losing their earnings. And most hit is going to be the financials. Last time financials came a big comeback. Now it may take some more time for financials to get comeback. And this is the Nomura India Business Resumption Index. So what does it mean that they have put in one index to see how much economy has been recovered post to COVID. So if you see the pre-COVID level of 100 last year, March and April it started coming down. Then we had complete lockdown. In April it was just around 45. Then unlock has been came. Then gradually the index started recovering. Almost we have reached to pre-COVID level in the month of February and March. From there, when Maharashtra started putting lockdown, then again the index started falling. And if you see till April, it is 83. We expect to fall it further in coming weeks, because in April most of the states have late April, and in the month of May most of the states have announced a lockdown. So naturally this index is going to fall further down, and it will take some time. Even if you see in the market, if you see the some sectors and stocks are doing well, for example commodity is doing well. Commodity is a complete global sector. So the movement in steel stocks are related to global prices, and since global economy there is some supply shortage and there is some demand increasing, steel stocks has been doing well. Similarly, if you see sugar stocks, that are also doing well. So overall, global cyclical stocks has been doing very well in our market, which is totally unrelated to our domestic economy. Because the steel prices, irrespective of demand, what they will do is that they will fix the price as per the what is happening globally. And since globally steel prices are going up, even if we bring complete lockdown throughout the country, they are not going to reduce the price. So steel stocks will continue to do well. So the stocks which are related to global, they will continue to do well irrespective of what is happening locally. So many retail investors are many are surprised the way, in spite of so much cases happening in our country, and in spite of so many deaths happening, market is still not falling much. That is the people are scratching, retail investors are scratching their head and searching for the answer. And if you see closely, means the stocks which are related to global economy, they are doing very well, whereas the stocks which are related to domestic economy, they are not doing that much well. Even if you see the banking stocks, they are not they are underperforming the market. Whereas metals, which is completely related to the global economy, Vedanta, Hindalco, then other steel stocks, their price depends upon the global economy and global supply demand. So globally, all commodity stocks are doing well. So here also we are seeing good movement in the commodity stocks. So for time being, it is the global related sectors that will do well. Right now, large cap IT companies are taking some consolidation. Once the metal rally stops means then the IT stocks will start performing well, because they are mostly dependent on the global order book, and their IT business is unrelated to Indian economy. Similarly, pharma is overall doing well because they are supported by twin issues. One is that because of higher COVID cases in India, pharma stocks used to get benefit, and the second one is that globally also they have export business. Since global economy also doing well, they are getting supported by the global business. So the sectors which are related to global economy, that is commodities, then IT, pharma, they are doing relatively well in our market, whereas financials and other consumptions, either they are underperforming in the market, or they are stable, they are not going up. But and this is the auto sales figure. Generally, March used to be the very good month for the autos, because historically March generally used to be the very good month for the auto. And if you see that month on month, almost fall in all companies, because April, Maharashtra and many states have started putting lockdown, so that got some impact. And seasonally also, April is not a great month. That is another reason. Year on year comparison, we can't do it now, because last year April was a complete lockdown month for all companies, and auto companies, entire autos company showed zero sales in the month of April. So year on year, if you see, there will be a good improvement from zero. There has been a good improvement in all companies, whereas month on month, if you see, because of a base effect as well as due to impact of COVID, there has been fall in the sales. The passenger vehicles has been doing reasonably well. Maruti and Hyundai, if you see, which has the major market share in our country, they have done well. Whereas if you see two wheelers, Hero Motor, which completely depends upon the domestic economy, the fall has been a very sharp. Whereas Bajaj and TVS Motor, they have relatively done well. That figure has not been put here. Commercial vehicle also, because of very high base effect and a domestic lockdown, their sales has been affected tremendously. Another worrying factor India is facing now is the sharp surge in inflation. So as you know, there are two types of inflation. One is the consumer price inflation. The other one is the wholesale price inflation. The consumer price inflation is the one where RBI used to track closely for taking monetary policy decision. So they are not taking the wholesale price inflation. Consumer price inflation is the inflation which affects an entire common man. Consumer price inflation has higher weightage of food items, as well as they have some sectors which are directly related to the common man. For example, hospital expenses, hospital sector will come under the recreation sector, tourism inflation, and tourism sector will come under CPI. Whereas WPI, mostly it will have manufactured goods as a component, as well as the primary items like food and non-food items. Then we have power and fuel. These three components comes in the WPI category. And WPI, if you see that, it has come to 7.3%, which is almost an 8-year high. Right now, RBI, even though they don't track this WPI inflation very closely for taking monetary policy decision, the WPI high inflation indicates that RBI is in a position to reduce interest rate further, or to give further monetary fiscal monetary stimulus to the economy. Because whenever inflation goes up, means even CPI is at around 5.5, which is also very high. And if you see, when compared to repo rate, CPI has gone above the repo rate. So that is the worrying part. And WPI inflation, a few months back, it was almost in negative territory. It has gone up very sharply, mainly because of fuel price has been continuously going up. During the election time, government did not hike the prices of petrol and diesel because of political issues. They now again they have started increasing because crude oil prices is going up. Now it is near to $17, and the government is now pushing to reduce the tax rate because they need money for COVID expenses. So government, since they are not reducing the tax rates, when crude oil prices fell, there was no proportionate fall in the petrol and diesel prices. But when crude oil prices started going up, the petrol and diesel prices have again started going up. So that is one of the reason why the WPA inflation has been going up. Similarly, the many metal prices have gone up very sharply. Copper is at lifetime high. Steel prices is at a all-time high. Similarly, aluminum prices, all prices has gone up very sharply in the last 6 months. Steel prices has gone up more than 50% in the last 6 months. So all this has been contributing to the very high WPA inflation. CPI inflation is slightly lower, mainly because agri prices hasn't gone up much, and agri is one of the major component in the WPA CPI basket. Also, the other expenses like tourism and all prices hasn't gone up much. That also has contributed to lower inflation in the CPI. Whereas WPA inflation it is almost 8 high and expected to go up further, irrespective of whether we reduce our consumption or not, because most of the components here are linked to the global commodity prices. So when global commodity prices goes up means naturally WPA inflation also will go up. So which means that the support from RBI may be very difficult in coming days due to very high inflation. So now the next question comes is that because of high inflation, will it kill demand? So there has been sharp rise in commodity prices. For example, steel prices has gone up by almost 50-60%, which is majorly used in white goods segments as well as in the construction purpose. So when steel prices goes up very sharply means what they will do is that they will try to reduce the work, and because of sharp increase in steel prices, some economic activity may hit in construction if steel and cement prices continues to go up. Similarly, white goods sector, what used to happen is that like washing machine, air conditioner, if you see that the copper prices is going up, steel prices are going up, but because of low demand now due to lockdown and weak consumer sentiment, the companies which are the user industries of these commodities, for example, manufacturers of washing machine and manufacturers of air conditioners, they may find it difficult to pass on the high commodity prices. So their margin will come down because they could not be able to pass on immediately the hike in commodity prices. They may take some 6 months to pass on the commodity prices. So the consumer durable segment may underperform in coming days because of their lack of power to pass on the high commodity prices immediately to the consumers. One is that consumer demand is low due to COVID. The second thing is that if you increase prices further, means that also will kill demand. Already, tire industries yesterday, 2 days back, the CEAT in their conference call they told that all their raw material prices has gone up. They could not be able to pass on the commodity price inflation to the consumers because of weak demand. And if they increase the prices, then the demand may further come down. Like that, they have given very negative opinion on the tire industry. So this type of industry may underperform in near term till the situation normalizes. Once the situation normalizes, these companies may hike their prices, but till then there may be difficulty for the user industries to pass on the high commodity prices. FII flows, if you see, means we had a record inflow of 36 billion last financial year from April to March. That is almost 36 billion came. Whereas now April and May, 40 days has passed nearly. 38 days has passed. In the first 48 days of 40 days of current financial year, they have sold almost 2 billion worth of shares in Indian market. And one of the reason why they are selling is that here because of COVID second wave, the demand has been low. And second reason is that globally other markets are doing well. For example, US is doing well. So when other markets are doing well, why you should take risk and put in Indian market during this COVID wave when no one knows when it will end. So once we see the signs of COVID wave ending, then again they may start buying it. So when we have seen many times that when FIIs as domestic institutions buy, the same thing is happening now. Now FIIs are selling and the domestic institutions are making matching buying on a daily basis. Yesterday FII sold almost 1,100 crores in our market after 2 days of buying. Yesterday again FIIs overall sold. The other thing I watch is it's a typical bull market we are seeing. What we are seeing is that the majority of stocks are seeing sharp rally. The rally we are seeing in the commodity stocks is used to happen only during the bull market. Like in 1999 to 2000, we had dot-com bull market where stocks used to go up on a daily basis without any correction. It used to go up. Even if it correction comes, it may be just 1 or 2 days. It will be like that. Again, stock used to go up. In 2003 to 7, 4 year, we had a very good market where in that also the stocks used to rally 5 times, 10 times, 20 times. Many stocks has gone up 100 times also in the 4 year period. Some of the stocks, commodity stocks like Jindal Steel and Power, some of the stocks like Berger Paint, United Spirits, they have seen 50 times, 100 times run up during that time, 2003 to 7, which is a typical bull market where a majority of stocks and sectors used to participate. And even if there is some negative sectors because of their poor performance, means that in that sector also price will not fall much. And now what we are seeing is that the hospitality sector, tourism sector and the hotel sector has been affected a lot, but stock prices are not falling. Though they are not going up, but they are not falling. So this indicates we are in a typical bull market. The other thing which happened in a bull market is that valuation used to be very high, and people try to justify the valuation, high valuation happening into the stocks. For example, in 99 2000, IT stocks used to trade around 100 PE, 150 PE, 200 PE like that. So at that time, the justification given for IT stocks going up so sharply was that they are growing at 100% per year. So 3 years from now, if you see, means the PE ratio will fall to 20, 30. 30. For example, suppose if a stock is trading at 100 PE, you are buying it. If next year, if earnings grows up by 50, 100% means, then PE will fall to 50 in 1 year for the same stock. And another year, if it goes up another 100%, the PE from PE will fall from 50 PE to 25. So in 2 years' time, 100 PE stock will become 20 PE stock simply because earnings are growing at 100%. Similarly, now if you are seeing that a lot of stories are being created, for example, some of the chemical stocks have started trading at 60 PE, 70 PE. If we just telling that China plus one strategy, many European companies and foreign companies are taking. So for Indian chemical, there is a huge outlook. So 60 PE is justified. But my own feeling is that giving 60 PE, 70 PE for a chemical stocks, which is growing around 10%, 15% per annum, is totally unjustified. Some either price-wise correction has to come, or the time-wise correction has to come in that sector. Though many companies are good companies are there in that sector, niche companies are there, but giving 60 PE, 70 PE for chemicals stocks is totally unjustified. According, I feel it's a very high valuation, but a lot of stories will be created justifying the valuation. Similarly, if you see that the many FMCG stocks are trading around 70 PE, 80 PE, and they are telling that because of low interest rate, of zero interest rate we are seeing now, the high valuation is justified. But like that, many stories are created to justify high valuation. The good companies will see time-wise correction, whereas bad companies, what will happen once the cycle turns, means once the bull market goes away, means the high EP stocks will see sharp price-wise correction. Good companies will see, won't see much price-wise correction, whereas they will see time-wise correction for 2 years, 3 years like that. So we are in a typical bull market, and where many stocks are trading at very high valuation, and a majority of stocks are seeing very good rally, and negative news are not reflected in the stock prices. And the only exception what I am seeing in the current bull market is that retail investors are not in euphoria. Generally, in bull market, what used to happen is that retail investors used to be in a euphoric mode. They will try to place the order before market opens. One day before itself, they will tell open order they will give. Tomorrow you buy 1,000 shares at whatever price you are available in the market when it opens at 9:15. Like that, they used to give open order without mentioning prices. And most of the retail investors will be in euphoric mode. And Saturday, Sunday, when even markets are closed, many clients used to come to office to discuss about the stock. This used to happen in a typical bull market. In 1992 Harshad Mehta bull market, or in 99 2000.com bull market, or 2003 to 2006-7 period, it happened. But now that is not happening. Retail investors are very cautious, maybe because of the COVID cases they are seeing around in our country, and number of deaths they are seeing, they are hearing, and because of that retail investors are very cautious. So that is the only exception which I am seeing in the current bull market. So the because of this, what I expect is that the bull market we are seeing is not going to end. Historically, if you see, means without retail investors participating in the bull market, uh, the bull market will not end. So the same way is happening now, where the retail investors are not participating. Maybe this bull market may extend for 1 or 2 or 3 more years, where finally retail investor participation will be huge, and we will see euphoria happening among retail investors. At that time only, the bull market will come to an end. Now Q4 results have started coming in. Overall Q4 results, if you see, means it is in line with the expectation. There is no major there is no major surprise in the results. If you see the large cap stocks like HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, and the stock prices fell post results, there is no major surprise. Similarly, if you see stocks in IT sector, TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech, where the only exception was Wipro post results, Wipro alone went up, whereas the other big IT stocks fell post results. And majority of large cap results were either in line with expectation or slightly above or slightly below expectation. No major positive surprise among large cap results, and most of them has been already discounted by the market. That's why if you see, means most of the company is stock prices are not rallying post results. Only exceptions, 1 or 2 companies will be there, and most of the companies higher profitability is due to cost cutting. And if you see in chemical companies, there was a huge inventory gain is there, and higher end prices, end product prices, there has been a huge gain is there. And commodity companies, they are reporting good results, and most of them has been already discounted by the market. And one big plus happening in the last 2 3 results are that the cash flows has been very strong in most of the cases. So because of very high cash flow, when cash flow used to be high, is that the receivables are lower. When inventory is lower, means cash flow used to be very high. So the cash flow has been very high, and because of that, balance sheets are getting more stronger. See, some of the high leveraged companies, where the balance sheets are getting more stronger, they have reduced they are reducing their debt very sharply. For example, Tata Steel, if you see, me, that the debt is more than 1 lakh crore the same time March 2020 time. Now after 1 year, that is March 2021, they have brought it down to 75,000 crores, almost 25,000 to 30,000 crores debt they have reduced in the last 1 year. So balance sheets are getting more stronger, especially in commodity space. Similarly, SAIL has reduced their the overall debt by more than 15,000 crores in the last 1 year. That is also positive. So commodity companies, because of huge rise in commodity prices, their profitability is very strong. Cash flow has been very strong, and most of the companies are using that cash flow to reduce their debt. That is one big positive, because once the balance sheet gets stronger, means then they will go for capex. Once the capex comes, means then they will go for borrowing with the banks further, and overall economic activity will pick up. So Tata Steel in their result, what they have told that last year they have reduced debt by 25,000 crores. This year they are planning to reduce the debt by 1 billion. That is around 7,500 crores. They are planning to reduce it. And so the balance cash flow they will use it mainly for capex plan. Their Kalinganagar expansion plan, they are going to again restart it. They have kept they have stopped doing capex because of low demand in steel. Now since the steel cycle has turned up, they are going for capex. So more capex means more employment generation, and more capital goods order will come. So it will kickstart the economic cycle. So that one positive I am seeing in this results, where balance sheets are getting more stronger. And when comparison between last year and this year, if you see that sales has gone up by 17%, whereas profitability has gone up by 51% among 230 companies. Now this time, what SEBI has told, that SEBI has given one more month time. So annual results, all companies as per regulation has to announce it by May 31st. Whereas now, because of the pandemic, the SEBI has given one more month. That is till June 30, companies have liberty to announce the results. So this time we are going to see an elongated result season. Otherwise, within 2-3 weeks, the result season could have come to an end. Now another month they are having. So this time we may see an elongated result season. When compared to last year, what happened is that in the mid of March onwards, lockdown has started coming in. So last year, same quarter, some of the companies' results has been affected because of the lockdown. So exactly we can't compare it, but still, if you see, means when compared to last year, the results has been far better, and mostly most of the companies has been using it for reducing their debt, which is very positive. And GST collection, if you see, it is almost an all-time high. 1,41,000 crores has been collected in the month of April. March sales data used to be collected in the month of April. So 1 month lag will be there. Since March, the March economic activity was very high. Auto sales was very high. The tax collection also was very high, and it is at an all-time high of 1,41,000 crores, which is positive. For government, GST collection indicates two things. One is the ground level economic activity happening, and the second thing is that government will revenue more. Government revenue will be higher. So the higher GST collection indicates that economic activity has been was very good in the month of March. Since March figures has been collected in the month of April, it is reflected in the April month. One interesting data is that this is the share of participants in the capital market segment in NSE. Capital market segment means the cash market. F&O is not included in that. So if you see in the last 5 years, the retail participation and retail segment has increased very sharply. The yellow one is the retail category, where the percentage of retail participation in the NSE capital market segment in FY16 was 33%. It has been gradually going up, and in the last year, that is FY21, it is 45. So there has been a sharp increase in the number of retail participants in the capital market segment. This does not include F&O, derivative segment, that is a separate segment. This is capital market segment. So in this, the retail category has been consistently going up. The proprietary also has gone up from 21% to 25%, which has come down. What is interesting is the FII participation in the capital market segment. From 23% in the year FY16, it has come to almost 11%. So the entire pie has been eaten up by the retail category. So mostly FIs are more interested in derivative segment as well as in a large cap, whereas the overall trading volume in the capital market segment has almost fell by 50%. It was 23% in FY16, whereas it has come down to 11%, which is a fall of almost 50%. It has come down. The other categories almost similar. Corporates also, there has been a fall. The interesting thing is that FII volume has come down in cash market segment, whereas retail volume has gone up in the last 5 years. This is the companies in US which have posted huge results. We all know that the Nasdaq and has seen an unprecedented huge rally in the last 1.5 years, irrespective of COVID wave sweeping in the US. And if you see the results the company are posting in US, if you see, means it has been stunning. For example, Apple, if you see, the revenue growth has almost 53% in the January, February, March quarter they have reported. So Apple is a very big company, and such a huge base they are reporting 53% growth means it's totally unbelievable, which indicates the the product strength the company is having, and the digitalization which is happening throughout the world, where they are getting fully utilizing for their business, which clearly indicates that 53% growth for a big company like Apple is totally unbelievable. If you see Facebook, their revenue has gone up by 47%. Amazon is such a very big company employing lakhs and lakhs of people, and their revenue, if you put in Indian rupee, means then it's very difficult to put in Indian rupees. The number of zeros that will come after the figure, it may be very difficult to convert it in Indian rupee. Such a revenue they are having. In that base, they have shown 43% growth. Amazon, Google, if you see 34% growth, Netflix 24, and Microsoft 19. So this is the sales growth the US companies are showing. So if US company trades at an historic valuation, means it is justified, because the growth they are showing is that 40%, 50%, like that they are showing it. Whereas in India, if you see, means companies are showing at 10%, 15% growth, whereas we are giving 70 PE, 80 PE for some consumer companies, because they are showing, mostly company will tell that we will show double digit growth, like that Indian companies will tell. Double digit, maybe even if you grow by 10%, it is a double digit. If you grow by 99%, it is also a double digit growth. Whereas the Indian company telling double digit growth means generally it will be between 10 to 15% growth most of the companies will show. For example, Indian companies like Infosys and HCL Tech, they have told that they will show double digit growth in next year. So mostly their growth will be around 10 to 15%. They will show revenue growth. They will show next year. Constant currency revenue growth, they will show around 10 to 15% next year. Infosys is trading around 30 PE, whereas TCS is trading around 35 PE. Whereas if you see the American companies, the revenue growth is around 40%, 50%, like that. Where the PE is also available around the same range, 30 PE, 35 PE. So 1 year down the line, if you see, means the valuations of Facebook, Amazon, and Apple will come down sharply, because there is an huge earnings growth is there. Whereas Indian company will continue to trade a very high valuation, because the earnings growth are low double digit. Equity mutual fund. So the data we haven't got it for the month of April. This is the March figure. March figure, there has been a surge in it, mainly because of seasonal effect is there. Many tax saving funds used to get huge inflow. So after many months of outflow, March has been a good inflow month, mainly because of tax saving fund inflow. Moreover, in the month of February and March, there has been some correction in our market. That also has led to the inflow into the equity mutual fund. So this April month data, we haven't got it yet. Maybe we may get it on Monday or Tuesday, we will get it. So because of some inflow is there, FIAs, when they turn to sellers, mutual funds has been buying, and domestic institutions has been buying in our market. So every month we are showing some, we are taking some sector and their outlook. And this time, in this current meeting, we have taken the pharma sector just in a slide. Actually, for to discuss about pharma sector, a complete presentation will be needed. Almost we can take the class for 2 hours class. Pharma is such a very big sector. Actually, if you see between 2015 and 20, the pharma sector has an underperformed Indian market. If you see the pharma B, this is BSE Pharma Index, and if you see the BSE Pharma Index, the index which touched in 2015, they could not be able to touch till FY 2020. That is almost 5 to 6 years. The pharma index has been underperforming. But when COVID came last year, the sector started re-rating. And if you see that, because during COVID first wave, during the panic selling, the entire sector fell. Then after that, it found that the sector is going to get a lot of benefit. It went up very sharply, and then it continued to saw the re-rating, and then and it broken the 2015 high index after a gap of 5.5 years, and then it started re-rating again. So after 5 years of underperformance, the sector have started doing well. So pharma sector is a very interesting sector, because the revenue source of revenue is from basically three markets. One is the domestic market. India itself is a very big market. The next one is the US market. US market is far, far bigger than Indian market. And the rest of the world, which is the European and then African markets. The apart from domestic and US, the whatever the other markets are there, it is the rest of the market. So if you see the major companies in India, big companies in India, all companies will have a business from all these three geographies. Domestic markets, they will have a big business. Similarly, US market, they will have a very big business, and rest of the world in European markets and African markets and other countries, Russian market, Russia, they will have the business. If you take all large cap companies, almost all companies will have business throughout these three geographies. And India is one of the highly profitable market for them, because the Indian market, the cash flow they are generating from a domestic market is very high from them. For them, it is almost equal to an FMCG business. If you create a brand and sell it in India, means it is equal to an FMCG business, high cash flow generating business. And US market, if you see, most of them are concentrated in the generics in US market, which is a little risky business. And because of US FDA taking lot of action on Indian companies, most of the companies underperformed the last 5 years, mainly because of their loss in profitability in the US market in the last 5 years. That is the main reason why overall pharma index underperformed. Even if you take now Sun Pharma, which is India's largest company, they are trading still 50% lower than what the price they have seen in 2015. Similarly, if you see Lupin, they are trading 40% lower than what the price it used to trade in 2015. After a gap of 6 years, they are trading 40% lower. But some of the companies like Cipla, Divi's Lab, they have crossed the previous all-time high. Divi, if you see Cipla, their main market is Indian market only. In African market, they have some exposure. US also, they have some exposure, but their exposure is much less than what Sun Pharma and Lupin or Dr. Reddy have. So Cipla has crossed the previous side. So the pharma sector, they have a diversified source of revenue. So in pharma also, the business they are doing also are of multiple segments. The geography is different types of geographies they have. They are catering to different types of geographies. Similarly, if you see the segments, they cater to different segments. For example, branded segments, many companies are catering. Calpol is a paracetamol tablet. It is manufactured by GSK, Glaxo Pharmaceuticals. GSK Pharma is a branded product. Similarly, if you see Electrol is a branded product where FDC, a small company, a small cap company called FDC does. Gelusil is a branded product where Pfizer manufactures and sell it. Brufen is a branded product where Abbott Lab manufactures. So in branded products, so many companies are catering to it. Generics, mostly they are catering to US market. Slowly in India also, the generics is started coming in after the Prime Minister, under Prime Minister, one medical shops, they are running generic shop where you will get generic tablets at a very low price. For example, if you want to buy a paracetamol generic, means the price will be far lower than what Calpol is selling at. So Indian generics now available in India as well as globally. US is one of the big generic markets. API, which is nothing but the active pharmaceutical ingredients, which is the ingredient for making pharmaceuticals. That also many Indian companies have a part of that division. There are some pure play API companies are there. For example, Newland Lab is a pure play API company. Similarly, Granules, if you take, they are a pure play. Majority of the sales are their API comes through their API. Laurus Lab, majority of sales comes through their API. So that is one segment. Big companies like Lupin and Sun Pharma, if you see, means a small segment will come through their API sales. Alembic Pharma, if you see, their small segment come through their API. So if you, then the next one is the CDMO, which is nothing but the contract development and manufacturing, where the company used to have agreement with an innovator or other drug innovator or drug manufacturer, where they will will do research as well as, and they will do development and supply, and finally start manufacturing and supply the product to the innovator or any other big pharma companies. If you take Syngene is an CDMO player, Divis Lab is an CDMO player, and PA industry, if you take means it's a CDMO for both pharma and agri. They have both division of pharma and agri. Heikel, where they manufacture a API for pharmaceutical, as well as they have an agri division. So if you see the pharma, the geography is diversified and the segments also very diversified. Each company is having their own pie of their segment sales. And what we are expecting is that the company is likely, the most of the companies, entire sector is to show consistent growth in coming years. After 5 years of weakness now in the sector, now we have started seeing growth and commentary coming from the companies. It is very positive, and healthcare, especially post COVID, we are going to see big importance given to the healthcare segment. The other important thing which I am hearing is that because of COVID hit the world, many side issues are going to come in coming days because of COVID affecting many major population in the world. For example, some person who has been affected by COVID is likely to get lung-related diseases in the future. Similarly, the person who got affected by COVID, there is a talk that they may get affected by diabetes. So the chance of getting the diabetes is much higher for person who has uh, infected by COVID. So that is the news I am getting from pharma, which means that from here on more consumption will happen in pharma sector. Though it is bad for the world, but for a sector it is good, and major companies likely to show consistent growth in coming years. So while buying pharma shares, we have to be very careful, and we have to build a diversified portfolio, because there is always some issue happening in some companies. So if you buy one or two companies, it is not going to help. You have a diversified portfolio in pharma sector. Buy 5 to 7 companies in pharma sector, which is related to branded generics, API, mix of all the companies, and build a portfolio that will help in participating the pharma rally. Buying an individual company is always risky, because anytime the US FDA issue can come, which may rattle that company. So always have a diversified portfolio, which will help you to drive the pharma rally. And this is the pharma index I already shown. And events to watch, if you see, foreign flows we have to see, and global markets which is doing well, that also we have to see. The Q4 results are coming, and this time it is going to be the extended result season till May 31st. We are going to see till June 30. We are going to get the results. So this is going to be the extended result season. That also we have to watch, and more importantly, the second wave which has hit the country, that we have to watch it very closely, because once the peak has come, means for the last 4 days there is some consolation there, around 4 lakh cases per day. We are seeing some type of top happening, so it will get confirmed in coming days. If that happens, means it will be well and good, because many states have put in lockdown. I expect that in the month of May itself, we are going to see the peak cases in the daily cases in the second wave, and most probably by end May the cases will start falling. If that happens, means it will be good for our market, good for everyone. So that's it for the current presentation, and we will look into the recommendations now. So in the current month recommendation, I have selected 5 stocks. The first one is the Cadila Healthcare. So why we are recommending the Cadila Healthcare is that the Cadila Healthcare, right now we are having 2 vaccines in our country. One is the domestically manufactured vaccine, one is the Covaxin, where the patent is held by the government of India. The second one is the Covishield, where it is owned by AstraZeneca. And we all know that there is a huge shortage of vaccine in our country, and it is expected that it will take another 6 months to 1 year for majority of population to get vaccination, if taking the current capacity in our country. So Cadila Healthcare is also a company which is developing another vaccine, and they are going under trials. Already phase 1 and phase 2 is already completed. Phase 3 results, it is near completion, and the company is hopeful of getting approval from the regulatory authorities for their usage, and we are expecting they will get approval in this month itself. They will get approval, and the manufacturing will start from next month onwards. They are building one vaccine manufacturing plant, which is coming to stream by next month, and in that they will start manufacturing if they get approval, the vaccine which they are under clinical trials in third phase. So almost 30,000 people they have given this vaccine, and they are undergoing the clinical trials, which is likely to get approved by this month, and next month onwards they will start manufacturing it. And their vaccine plant, it will also be used for their captive vaccine, as well as for the for manufacturing contract on contract basis. So even if they don't get approved, also they will start manufacturing vaccine further on a contract basis to others who have got their approval. So that once they get their approval, means this stock may see further re-rating. Moreover, their US market products also likely to do well in the next 2-3 years. So vaccine is one of the trigger point where I expect if they get approval, means the stock may see a re-rating. That is why we are recommending the Cadila Healthcare first. The second stock which we are recommending is the SBI Life. Among life insurance companies, there are 4 listed insurance companies are there. One is the SBI Life, the second one is the HDFC Life, third one is the ICICI Prudential, and fourth one is the Max Life. So among all the 4, if you see the reasonable growth the company is showing, as well as available at a recent decent valuation, is the SBI Life. And if you see that their valuation is much lesser than HDFC Life, as well as ICICI Prudential, and the recent results has been good. So that is why we are recommending SBI Life. And the third one which we are recommending is the JK Paper. The company is going for a massive capacity expansion, and the capacity expansion is likely to get completed in the next 6 months. They already acquired one company called Sirpur Paper 3 years back. That also modernization has been completed, and the company is likely to get big benefit from the Sirpur Paper acquisition. And the money they have expended, they have spent for modernization, the benefits they are going to come from current year onwards. Now, because of lockdown, the demand, school demand, office demand may come down a little bit. The company demand may get affected marginally in the next 1 to 2 quarters. But somebody want to invest with a 1 year view, 2 year view, JK Paper is a very good company to buy. You buy gradually, every month you buy some shares, and once the lockdowns are lifted, the company will be one of the major beneficiary, because right now the plastic ban is being imposed in many countries, where paper companies will get benefited because of that. The second thing is that many company this online buying has been happening, where the paper board has been used for transfer of goods. In that also the company will be benefited, because a paper board has been manufactured by this company. So overall, paper as a segment likely to do well in the next 1 to 2 years. In the near term, there has been some headwind is there. So what we are advising clients is to buy gradually the JK Paper and hold it for 2 years, 2 to 3 years. You will get very good benefit in this company. The fourth one which we are recommending is the ICICI Securities. The company is basically in stockbroking as well as in other financial services. Recently, the company has posted very good results, and moreover, they are using the artificial intelligence and machine learning and digitalization for their client acquisition. Company also gives decent dividend yield, and one can acquire ICICI Securities. The fifth one is basically a monsoon theme. where Dhanuka Agritech is one company where they are manufacturing pesticide, which is basically used for agriculture, agriculture sector. And if monsoon is good, means if crop cultivation is good, means basically the business will do well, and we expect Dhanuka Agritech will get benefit from the good monsoon, normal monsoon, which has been predicted. So these are the 5 companies which we are recommending for this month. Last month, if you see, means ICICI Bank has done well. Prince Pi has done well. Cipla, it went up to 966. After we gave recommendation, it went up to 10%. From there, it has corrected, but still we believe Cipla is a good long-term portfolio. The stock which has underperformed is HCL Tech and Tata Motor. HCL Tech, there was some disappointment in the results. So those who are holding HCL Tech can continue to hold. No need to sell in this. So once the metal rally cools down, means then we are going to see rally in a large cap IT stocks, Infosys, TCS and HCL Tech. So we can, those who are holding, they continue to hold, no need to sell in loss. Tata Motor also one can hold. In near term, there is some headwind because of the lockdown, but overall in the next 6 months, it will do well. Thank you. That's all for this presentation.